Established in April 2021, Upland Development United is an exclusive property development collaborative for the Upland Metaverse. If you're a bigger picture and loyal team player who has a great sense of humour and is looking to get more engaged in a diverse and experienced team, you can help us and we can help you. Contact Morecheese or Ben68 for more information. Warning, all opinions within are solely the views of the individuals involved.
The UDU, Upland Development United, installed their neighborhood nodes throughout the entirety of Upland. Their reach was unmatched.
G'day and welcome to UDU team meeting number 34. Today is Tuesday the 30th of November or the 1st of December, where I am. Should be a good meeting today. Heaps and heaps to talk about and mostly good stuff, which we like to see. Average daily transaction value has taken a bit of a bump. It was 64 million UPEX. I think when I had a look last night, it was 65.7, something like that. So plenty of action happening in the markets. And we can see that clearly when we look at some of the stats. The floor in San Francisco has actually dropped. It was 26K. Dub had a look before, thanks for that, Dub. And there was a couple laid down at the 22.4K mark, and there's a whole bunch, like the floor solid seemed to be at 24.5K. But there's a whole bunch there for US dollars, like $16 or something like that. So there's still a massive arbitrage opportunity there. So yeah, that might be worth looking into. Manhattan, wow, what can you say about Manhattan? 100K last week and apparently 145K this week. Just absolutely bananas. Chicago, that's had another bump too. It was 4.9K and that's jumped up to 5.1K from what I can see. And I'll talk a bit more about Chicago later, so we'll dig into that soon. But yeah, all heading upwards. Santa Clara, that's had a really nice jump. Like we do know that took quite a hit. I remember, what did I buy? A couple hundred properties there when the floor was around the 17K mark, and then it dropped way down to, I think it was down in the 13s. Last week it was 16.4, and that's bumped right up now to 19.2, which is good to see. Brooklyn, Cody, do you want to speak to Brooklyn?
Yeah, so I can speak on collection properties at least. I've seen about every single collection double within the past month, which is absolutely insane. Definitely my assets, especially in Crown Heights, have tripled in price, which I find crazy because I've been waiting for this to happen, but I didn't think it would happen so fast. Because I remember the floors being for Coney Island being around 30 earlier. I remember being Cobble Hill being around 40 to 50, and now Cobble Hill 65, Coney Island 40. And then Crown Heights has a floor of about 20,000 now. So get your assets while you can before they're too expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen just the regular floor in Brooklyn go from like 8.5K to it's pretty much on the border of 10K now, which is very cool. Crypto markets, Bitcoin was at 57,200 last week. It's kind of taken a big roller coaster down and it's back up to 58,000. About 200. Ethereum, it's had a nice bump. It was 4,300, gone up to 4,600-ish. Engine's taken a bit of a hit. Was at $4 down to $3.58, and Wax has also had a minor down. It was at 77 cents and down to 70 cents. So all in all, pretty good on the old uptrending front. Absolutely, you can jump in.
So the blockchain stuff, like, I remember getting into Ethereum when it was like about $1,000, and it reminds me of when I got into Bitcoin at $1,000 and still holding. And now it's like, what, like you said, 4K? That's
Yep.
crazy. Like imagine like the next freaking Bitcoin. Is anyone else here holding Ethereum? Like like
I do a bit of mining, so I have a little bit of Ethereum, but I normally cash it out for Wax to fulfill my NFT addiction.
But when they roll out,
too.
I think Ether when it 2.0 goes, I think we're going to see a really big spike.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Use case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, if I look back in my old transaction history of what I used to hold, you'd sit in the corner and cry your eyes out. You know, you can't hold everything forever, so you know.
I am.
Yeah. Well, you'll come out smiles in the end, perhaps.
Ben's like, screw you.
But yeah, and kind of following on from that, like the sales madness on the secondary market, I keep hearing people saying the secondary market's dead because we don't have Upex World. I think it's like going gangbusters because we don't have Upex World, because the people can't kind of look into it. Like how many UDU members have posted this week with just insane sale figures of like non-collection properties, like into the high millions. It's just crazy. So yeah, for me personally, I'm out. I'm not selling nothing. Steve actually hooked me up with, because I was bemoaning that like it was such a drama to find out which properties I had for sale and where, and Steve did some clickety-clacking and managed to send me a list of all the properties that I have up for sale, and I went through last night and just delisted pretty much everything. The lowest price I've got is 6.8 million, but I'm going to delist all of those as well. I'm going to have one property for sale, and that's the Shameless house in Chicago, and that's it. At least until the new year, until Upex World comes back online or something like that, and then I can dig into the data a bit more. Yeah, as nice as it is to get these notifications that you've sold something for just a berserk price, there is also the case where you're like, shit, I didn't actually know that was for sale. I didn't actually want to sell that one. So, yeah, I'm at the point where I'm just going to sit and wait it out for a while. How about everybody else? Few nods, few shakes.
Well, I've been telling you for like stop selling, Ben.
Yeah. You know, everyone's at a different stage. Like if you're still trying to get yourself established, or if you're chasing director or executive or whatever, yeah, maybe now is the time where you should sell. Just, you know, like we said, I think all this kind of crazy stuff will calm down a bit once we have Upex World online. But who knows? Maybe it'll fuel it even further.
I think it's gonna go crazier, to be honest, especially into the new year. Like, hold on. What do you say, Ben? Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, that's pretty common. Hold on to your butts.
I think it's gonna be. I think these like now until the new year is gonna be your last kind of moments to kind of establish yourself.
Yep.
And then I think it's gonna be just kind of like a roller coaster ride going forward in the new year.
Yeah, especially with like the established tier 1 cities, and like I think the floor on those are just going to go really crazy, because at the moment there's no real way to accurately see the floor. Like Upland's put up that marketplace thing, but it's basically rubbish because it's updated. It's supposed to be updated once every 24 hours. I don't know that it is, but anytime you check the floors on it, the first 20 or the first page you scroll through, they've all been bought. Yeah, because it's not live and up to date. There's not much value in that really for what it's designed for. So once we get that live data system streamed back, that's really going to shake things up, I think. So, yeah.
There is actually a really nice Discord server that's called Upland Data Hub, where you can just do an extract on Excel. It's a bit more work, but it's basically like UPX, where you just have to do the work yourself. And sadly enough, you can only extract like one city at a time. So you still be able to do it more or less real time. It just is a bit more effort.
Cool, thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be in a situation where Upex World goes live and then some of the properties that you forgot you had listed get snapped up, especially collections and that sort of thing. So, yeah, try and get ahead of that situation if you can. Yeah, I've got, speaking like to the Chicago, what I call the Chicago snowball, we've seen that really started to pick up some steam. There's a lot of talk about the floor, you know, the unminted floors and the FSA floors, like just getting gobbled up. And you might have seen in Hire's bot now has a cool graphic where it looks like Pac-Man's eating the pellet, like it has the minted versus the unminted, and that little pellet, she's getting smaller and smaller. it's pretty cool to watch. So when I checked, I think I checked last night, and there's still about 99,000 properties unminted. The FSA floor was about 4,500, and the non-FSA floor, there's still a few around at like 4.7K, but they're really hard to find, and you just eat up a bunch of cents. You're better off picking a spot somewhere where there's, 6 or 7 in the 4.8, 4.9 range, and just anything that you can find under 5K, I think is just a crazy bargain at the moment. Yeah, especially when, like, we see the secondary floor at the moment is 5.1K, even when there's cheaper properties unminted. So even if you were turn around and sell that straight away, you might make a tiny profit, but once those 100K properties get eaten up off the unminted floor, the floor in Chicago is going to go crazy. It will be fun to see there's going to be probably 6 months of undercutters just like undercutting each other like crazy, because there's players such as myself who went really heavy. As soon as Chicago released, I went just crazy buying up as many of the 2K properties as I can. There was plenty of people doing that. So whether we start seeing those kind of players start to slowly flip out and try and dominate the floor will be interesting. But yeah, can't wait for the seller. And I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than people realise, especially because the top prices is only in the 20K range. So we're only looking at between 5 and 20K. It's not like, San Francisco and Manhattan and all those, where there was like heaps and heaps of the 100+K properties that took a while to get gobbled up.
Yeah, and also don't forget that Upland is really treating Chicago as a tier 1 city. We saw that during the Spark Hunt. We saw that during the what is it called, Thanksgiving treasure hunt. The rewards that you can receive in a city like Chicago are the same as Manhattan and stuff. But the newer cities that we were not sure about the tiers, but they also had a low FSA percentage. Still, they don't get the same valuation like Chicago. So then, in my opinion, yeah, it's definitely worth, if you have some apex, to just mint in Chicago. It will be a good investment, but I'm going to wait, I think, for at least a year before I'm selling them, because the floor, I expect it to keep rising, actually.
Yeah, well, I made the same pledge in the team. Like, I've got over 4,500 properties in Chicago. I'm not selling any of that until this time next year. I'm not even going to consider putting anything up for sale, because I don't really have to, because I'm in a different position with dividends and that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm willing just to take the gamble on that. If we don't see a 10K floor by this time next year, I'll be very surprised. We'll see how we go. Alrighty, over to you, Cheese. Spark train number 8. Choo choo.
We're choo-chooing along. I think we have about 13. When did we start it? It was 2 weeks, not this past weekend, but the weekend before.
No, wasn't it last weekend?
Was it last weekend? I don't know. I'm like so bleh. But we have 4 completed. We have our apartment, because we did if you guys didn't check out our last meeting, we did like a kind of random name selector to see who would get their apartment done this train, and that was Mr. Finsky, and his is about 4 days from being done, which is pretty cool. Once that's done, like a whole windfall of spark will be going in, and then after that we have about maybe 8 more to go. Mine is almost done. Mine is like a small townhouse. We have maybe another small townhouse, and I don't think it'll be this weekend, but definitely next weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's looking good, and we're burning through it yet again. We'll have to check. Maybe I can speak to that now. The last team meeting for the year, team meeting number 37. What are we today? 34. So we've got another 3 to go. That'll be the 21st of December. And then we'll have a bit of a break. The first team meeting back next year will be like the 11th of January, something like that. So we'll have to check the numbers. Obviously, we don't want to run a train. Well, I assume we don't want to run a train through that kind of vacation period. So
Nothing to do.
what's that?
I got nothing to do.
Yeah. Well,
It'll probably be a lot more lazy train. Like
yeah.
there won't be as many expectations,
Yep.
It'll be like, a whatever train.
Well, if you have the time and the availability to do something, why don't you run a little cheesy node train or something like that?
All right. Yeah.
Get a couple of
Yeah,
buildings going up in there.
That's true. We could kind of like, take a little break, do our own projects until January. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Pressure off, I think, over that time period. So we'll just have to see whether we can fit another official Spark Train number 9 in the interim. If not,
All
yeah,
right.
we'll just everybody's got other projects to work on. It's no drama to shut down for a while and get back into it again in the new year.
True that.
Alrighty, wine of the week. Few things to get through today. First one, the Upland Terms of Service crickets. I had a look last night. That was back in May when X1 the Gamer said, oh yeah, the Terms of Service, the new updated Terms of Service is just about to be released. May. Wow. And it keeps getting referenced. Where's the new Terms of Service? And it's crickets. What do you think the possible hold-up is there? Is it lawyers? Is it they keep changing the goalposts? What?
Maybe they don't want to specify because they fear that they will kind of pigeonhole themselves.
Paint themselves into a corner or something. Yeah, it's a weird one.
I think they feel like they're going to screw themselves over, no matter whichever way they slice it with certain rules.
Yeah.
So I honestly think they're just nervous to enforce something like that because they have honestly somewhat of a lackluster history enforcing some rules, such as multi-counting, as we've seen, where it's enforced to an extent, but it's still somewhat rampant to the point where it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're worried about the ability to enforce it either, because I don't know what their plans are in terms of enforcement anymore.
Yeah, and I guess we've shown. We've shown too that we're going to pick apart every single word that's in that document. No. Sorry, Chief, what are you going to say?
Oh no, it's okay. I was gonna say, like, I'm sure they realize that younger people are playing the game, and like if it's written, they have nothing to worry about. And if they like, I kind of feel like if they say it out loud or if they kind of like push it, they're gonna lose a lot of their customer base.
Yeah, well, just make it official. Like, Bob, can you speak to the person I'm thinking of? Like, well, we've got a team member who we want back in the team, but we need clarification on the terms of service.
Yeah, there's one team member who was part of UDU, and it was a very tough decision to say, hey, because it's also weird because he said in the chat, like, hey, I'm 15 years old. But because he said that, we were looking at that and saying, oh, we can't have you here in the chat because it's against the TOS. But if he didn't say it at all, I don't think he will get kicked. So it's also a very tricky thing. Plus, the thing is, are you also to blame when you are doing a transaction with someone who is below 18 years old? That's going to be crazy because then every time you're doing a transaction, you have to ask on Discord, like, hey, how old are you? And sometimes you don't even have the Discord. So maybe they should perhaps alter the rules. They could say like, hey, you are still able to play Upland when you are below 18, but you can only sell it for real money when you are 18, because then they can link the USD account to it. Maybe that's a more fair solution or something like that. I don't know. It's
or have a clause in it to say you got to have parental consent or something like that.
Yeah. And I don't think you would be in trouble because, like, when you sign up, it does specify like you have to be this age. So I think if anything, it'll be on Upland.
Yeah, it's just such a murky area that we just need that official line on, and then we can get him back in the team. Because
one of the first steps you need to do is on the App Store, Google and Apple, they market the game as a game for not 18-year-olds. It's marketed, I think, last time I checked, like for 6+.
Yeah.
I don't know if they changed that.
Oh.
It's really a messed up thing to do. If you're going to say it's an 18+ game, market it as one. Don't advertise it on an Apple store or a Google
Yeah,
store.
or TikTok and everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, like that you send a mixed message, and to players like us who kind of take this a little more seriously, kind of like a slap to the face. Like, what are you doing?
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Well, I had another personal wine come up this week. I kind of did one of my what do you call it when you just make a snap decision? What's the word I'm blanking on?
Impulse.
Impulse. Yeah, I made an impulse thing that I was going to buy 6 million UPEX and do a bit of playing around with the MTU floor and go a bit crazy in Chicago. And I pushed through 3 million UPEX transactions for Bitcoin. It's a gripe I've had for a while. I wanted 5 million UPEX, but in order to get 5 million, I was going to have to do, I think it's a 3 million and 1 million transactions, because the way they delineate the purchases is kind of, I understand why they do it, but it's such a pain in the butt. There's been plenty of times there where I wanted to get 4 million, or like this time I wanted 5 million. So I ended up pushing through 3 million transactions, and they ended up both on the same Bitcoin block. Only one of the transactions came through. I was talking to Cheese at the time, and I know how long those kind of transactions come through, so I knew that something was amiss. So I got ahead of it, and I emailed both Upland and UTrust support. I tagged them both in the same email with all of the information, and I said, this is the problem. Can you please sort it out? Well, Upland support got back to me and said, oh, that's a UTrust problem, and then predictably UTrust got back to me and said, oh, that's an Upland problem. And I was just like, what the hell? It's you're trying to say it's basically saying it's my fault. There's $3,000 missing. Sort it out. And yeah, it was a bit later. The Upland support came back and said, oh yeah, we got in contact with UTrust and we worked it out. Yeah, hallelujah, thank you. Couldn't you just done that at the start? No, really annoying. Especially when you're talking about, I made that purchase for a specific play, and I was only able to do half of what I wanted to do, but it actually turned out better because I changed my mind and went crazy in Chicago anyway. So yeah, but just a pain in the butt. The Bot's famous for this. I saw you drop that again with the Upland support reply. I love when you drop those. Yeah, come on, don't push it on your customers. Well, why is it up to the customers to wrangle all this stuff? Sort it out yourself. Do your job.
Yeah, the funny thing is when something goes wrong with players, it's always like, hey, we are looking into it. We are aware of the issue. Please, we will contact you soon. But once there was an Upland mistake, when it was about the sales and then people got a refund, they immediately responded. That's really, I don't have words for that.
Yeah, it's just do your job, people. That's what it comes down to. Do your job. If you're Upland support, or if you're UTrust support, or if you're any sort of support, do some support. Don't just palm it off. Yeah.
Well, they actually do it because like 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a severe issue with Sense that you send your Block Explorer to a property, the UPEX got deducted, no compensation at all. And, the thing that really got me mad is that they are just saying, yeah, we are aware of it, we will solve it. But there's no deadline, there's no explanation why this is happening. And then they solved it quite quickly within 4 or 5 days. I mean, not really quick, but still. But if they said, hey, this is the issue, we are going to solve it within 4 days, and then, or let's say 6 days, because then they have some room, then people will be more willing to accept what happened. So it's also like managing expectations. It's really simple, actually.
Well, that's kind of my point. Like, I contacted both of those support groups, and rather than them putting in the 5 minutes it took to, even if it was a phone call conversation between them to sort it out, they both palmed it off, which dragged it out for 2 more days. I guess their thinking is that they're saving time by just palming it off, but actually it's chewing up a whole bunch more time. If they had just sorted it out at the start, it would have been done and dusted. Check, move on, check, move on. Put the effort in when it's needed. All right.
Yeah, but isn't this a bit of the same thing as like what Amazon does? It's like rather than find your package, they just like send you a new one because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think it's sometimes I feel like, if they get so many requests, if they just pawn off everything, like 5% or 10% is really that keen on actually getting it solved,
Yeah.
they will come back, and then it might actually be saving them time.
Yeah. Well,
It's a fucked up system, but it might work.
Yeah, when you look at the bigger picture like that, yeah, it might be true. Last one of the week. We're getting in deep this week. Scammers crying about scammers. What a shit show this has been. We have been warning for the last couple of weeks to be on the lookout for scammers, especially our friend Afro. He has unfortunately been successful in grabbing a beloved teammate's, one of his ultra rares, I believe, was it? Yeah, one of his, a rare property, a prized property. And yeah, that team member is extremely upset, feels guilty, hurt. Of course, all of those feelings and emotions you're going to feel. What has been crazy is, now, we've seen this previously. If you go back to the old crypto ICO days, scammers everywhere, people reverse scamming. Like we had Eric reverse scammed a property back in the ICO days. I reverse scammed somebody for some Ethereum. Once we get into this situation where scammers are scamming scammers and the scammers are crying out saying, hey, you need to protect me. Yeah, it's just, we always talk about this is the Wild West of the, the metaverse situation, but yeah, we're really in the Wild West stages now. So yeah, be really careful about what you're doing. Yeah, if you don't know the person, just be really, really aware. I wouldn't even bother. If it's a few UPEX who you're chasing, just reach out to the team. There's plenty of scope within the team to help you out. In this case, I believe it was the team member actually helping somebody else out and then got dragged into a whole situation like that. Yeah, there's also been some talk about, there's been some underground talk about how this whole concept of node properties is a big pump and dump scam. Like, we've been through all this since the start of the UDU, and it seems to come in waves. People just not understanding the concept. Like, perhaps Human can speak to this as well. Like, when you're talking about setting up a node, it's extremely difficult to keep it all together. And I think people just completely underestimate the costs. Like, if I was to sit down on pen and paper and put together, add up what I'd spent on NTU, it'd be mind-boggling. Like, people think, oh, because I'm selling these properties that I bought for 15K at 150K or whatever it was, that it's all some big, long, giant scam play for me to, dump on everybody and run away with the UPEX, which is just freaking hilarious. If you take 10 seconds to look into it and have a think about it, you'll see that that's not the case at all. So, yeah. But, yeah, watch yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, as we say. Anybody else have a wine, or can we move on to more positive?
We can move on.
We can move on. Good. Yeah, it's quite a long one. Win of the week. We've had lots of UDU members reach milestones and goals. I just saw, was it Swiss just hit his target? I think Finn, you just hit your target for the year. Anybody else have anything that they're working on or trying to scramble out or that they've hit?
Well, I hit 1,000 properties. I'm pretty happy about that.
Nice. Yeah. Anybody else? Just grinding away. Yeah, well, I had that 3 million UPEX get delayed, so that threw out my original plans. And I think last week I was talking about how I just cracked chief executive and hit 5,000 properties. I had 3 million UPEX there and thought, bugger it, I'll get 6,000 properties. So, man, that was a grind.
Why not?
Yeah. I got to say a massive thank you to Finn, who his little capture minting trick. Thank you for that, Finn. That saved me a whole bunch of groove. So it's still like, to buy 1,000 properties is a pain in the ass. And that goes to Morecheese. That's a good segue over to you, Morecheese.
What?
Your first world NFT, what is it? Yeah.
Oh, no,
Not yet? All right.
not yet.
All right. I thought that was a good segue, yeah. Woe is me, I had a hard time.
That would have been perfect. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Poor me. It was so hard meeting 1,000 properties. Poor me.
I know.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yes. Anybody else had a
Well,
win?
I think we could because it's already in the application. It's a first metaverse problem.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
like it's a first world problem and it's a first metaverse problem. That's a perfect example. You should make like a little doodle of it. And I could get you an NFT of that.
Okay, I'm on the job. Sounds good. Yeah, so yeah, there's lots of wins at the moment, especially when we have like there's members, like I said, getting those. I think it was who posted last night? There was a 1.7 million UpX non-collection property sale or something. You know, wow. Yeah, put those funds to use. Or there's a few people I know that I think Cyclonics is a classic example where I think he's sitting on 6 or 7 million UpX just waiting for the first international city. I think he's all gangbusters waiting for London. I think what Liquid Emoji, I think he's on 20
I was about
million.
to say, yeah, he's higher.
Yeah.
Liquid is
I don't know
liquid
how
is
they do
very
it personally.
liquid.
Yeah. I hate having UpX burning a hole in my pocket.
I know, like I saved up to it. I always save up to 100,000 and then I see something and I'm like, should I? And I always do it.
Yeah. Very good. Alrighty, I did put a point in here reflecting on the Q4 roadmap AMA. I was supposed to have another look through it last night to get some bullet points. Was there anything that stood out in that that looks good or is questionable?
What is this?
The Q4 roadmap AMA that Upland just did recently.
The one that we went over, or is there a new one?
No, they not the roadmap itself. The Upland team did an AMA live on YouTube.
Oh, I watched half of it and then I was like, it wasn't. I guess I should go finish it.
Yeah, they still come across as very much staged is probably too hard to.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I mean, you cherry picking the questions that you want to answer. Basically, that's kind of what it comes across as, which is fair enough. That's their prerogative. You know, they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're going to get grief or egg on their face, I suppose. I think the biggest thing to come out of all that was probably the car situation. That seemed to be a heavy thing that they focused on. And I did hear last night in the Upland Cafe chat that there's a lot of talk about how Spark's going to play a role in, being used as far as powering vehicles and that sort of thing.
Do as many treasure hunts as you can, people.
Yeah. But we did see in the roadmap when we did it with the wine and cheese show that the car NFTs, what did it say? They're going to be Q1 or something next year? I don't know if it was Q4 this year or Q1 next year. The car NFTs were going to be available, but then the actual functionality was like pending or something. So we might get these car NFTs, but it doesn't appear like we're going to be able to do anything with them for quite some time.
Well, that's good. You could kind of like build up your fleet because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build up my damn fleet.
Yeah, what was it? The back.
No. Who said that? That was your friend. Is he on?
Yeah, I don't know who said it, but it was freaking funny. I was cracking up laughing.
He's his creamy cruiser rental.
Creamy cruiser rentals.
Yeah, his was backseat cheese or something. No.
Yes.
Oy vey.
Yeah, so I don't know that there was much that stood out from that AMA. There was a bit more talk about businesses and that sort of stuff, but I don't think it was just rehashing all the old information. Don't worry, human, you can't see it anyway in the recording.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
don't
all
see
good.
the names.
All right, if nobody else has something to do with that, we'll move on to the main point. The main point for this week, I'd like to talk about onboarding new members. I have had several players reach out recently wanting to get involved or, inquiring how they could get involved. I've basically just given them like a big copy and paste of the general process that we have in place now, but have said, because of Apex World and all the data sites being shut down, like we can't even do bot inquiries. It's kind of all on hold. I don't know. Are we doing it right? Is that system right?
I'm gonna put on my devil horns right now. If you are interested, truly interested in becoming a part of a group and want to be active within that group and know what we're about, or would like some information, that's fine. You know, you'll be considered. But if you come to any of us, especially me, and say, what can you do for me? We're not recruiting.
Yeah.
We're not recruiting. If you're interested, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like, we're not trying to sell you anything. So stop. Stop asking me to sell you. Like, but if you are truly interested in being a part of a group, we're a great group of people. We're very trustworthy. We do a bit of a vetting to ensure that we can swap easily between us. It takes a while. It's gonna be a while before you get in. But if we let you into our server as a guest until that process is done and you don't talk at all, you don't engage, then that's on you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've got two prime examples here with Fish and Coop. You know, they're two prime examples of players who reached out and because they wanted to get involved, they got involved and they're fully involved. You know,
Yeah.
The value of Fish and Coop, you know, the value of them is probably tenfold compared to, or 100-fold more than just somebody who comes in just for the sake of doing it. You know. Yeah, we do have an extremely thorough vetting process. I think it was working very well up until Apex World went down. But like anything, there's always improvements to be made, changes that can be made. Can anybody think of a way to maybe streamline that process better, or are we on the right track?
I think we're on the right track. I think it's just kind of like a learn as you go sort of thing. Keep be solution oriented, but at the same time learn from the experiences. And I think we've been doing great.
Yeah, I think I think your point's bang on. Yeah, I think your point's bang on, Chief. Like I said, with those players that have reached out and I've given them the information, I've said, look, we have tons of information on the YouTube channel, which is a hell of a lot to trawl through, but have a look at a few things, maybe if it's only the last 3 team meetings or something like that. If you have any further questions, let me know. And you don't get a response, that kind of tells you a lot right there, doesn't it? Yeah, so there's probably 3 or 4 people there that have gone fairly deep in that sort of process, but yeah, we're waiting on the data tools to be able to dive in deep. So we were supposed to get some kind of functionality by the end of November. I think Rikuria posted a thing recently where I think some of the VIP people in the Apex World server did have access to a very early alpha of it. So there does appear to be some action on the way. So hopefully they can get something out by the end of the year and we can start that process. But like I said, we're going to be shutting down team meetings and all that sort of stuff for a good 2-3 weeks. So I'm not really expecting any sort of focus on vetting new members until mid-January, something like that.
That sounds good. On
the flip side, though, I have continually been trimming out the dead shits and the dead beats. Cheese loves it when I say it like that. There have been several players where I've reached out and say, you're on the cusp of getting cut from the team. What's going on? Is everything all right? And that's fueled conversations and that sort of thing. It's not something that we're actively trying to get rid of people for the sake of getting rid of them. But yeah, there's no point having people in the server that aren't active. There's just really no point. Yeah, I've got that down for the last point. So yeah, cool. And yeah, Finsky's on now. This new vetting process is pretty much your baby, Finn. So if you can think of any other ways that can be streamlined or improved or whatever, just let us know. And what else? Oh, the Upland match update. Yeah, we did make the decision to hold that off till next year. We were going to try and get out one episode before the end of the year, but with us shutting down and all that sort of thing, I think it makes more sense to hold that off and get it ready to go. Come out with a bang mid-January next year. I did pick Dub up this morning to start working on kind of the foundations for that. And I know Bob's come up with some good ideas, so I'll pick your brain as well. So yeah, if anybody else has any ideas for that sort of stuff, reach out and let us know. Another kind of thing that's kicking off is myself and very popular Upland server member Lil. We're going to kick off with the Australian and New Zealand Cafe Hour. That's going to be tonight at about, I think it's 10 to 11 a.m. UTC time. So that should be a bit of fun. We're just kind of getting together to fill in some of that dead air when most of the Americans, etc., are asleep, except for crazy people like Cheese and Dr. T and a few others. Yeah. So if you're around, jump in. I don't really know what it's going to be about. It's just kind of, we've created, well, I did create a group chat, but apparently you could only have 10 people in the group chat, and we had a few more people reach out, so we created a little tiny server, just trying to support the growing kind of anti-podium community that's kicking off. You know, I want to see more.
Invited to this server?
You're not an Australian, you're not a New Zealander.
Oh, I thought you said outsiders reached out.
No, I said anti-podium. That's kind of slang term for Australians and New Zealanders.
You're off the hook.
Nice. Yeah. So if you're listening and you're an Australian or New Zealand player, you could be a citizen or a resident. Doesn't matter. It's reach out and let me know. I'll give you access to that server. Yeah, it's just about getting together, supporting each other in that kind of opposite time zone where there's not a lot of action in the cafe. And we will be sticking to the rules and regulations that our good friend Uplander has set in place for the cafe. So, we are a crazy bunch of Australians and New Zealanders, but we'll be keeping it cool.
Question.
Yes.
Can you pull some strings and get Lil into UDU?
That's on her. I don't know if she wants to be involved.
Well, that's why you gotta.
I'm hoping to have a chat to her tonight. I don't actually. I've had a lot of DMs with her, but it's been about, how's it going? What are you up to? Kind of more personal stuff. I don't actually know what she's involved in, where she's at within the Upland game itself. So
I don't need the details. Just ask her.
We'll see. If she wants to be, we'll definitely pursue it. We'll see.
Yeah.
UCC contract updates. I just had another 2 buildings get finished right before I went to bed last night, and another one this morning. So that's 9 finished out of the stage 1 contract, and there's 7 being built. That has pushed us to number 3 in the San Francisco percentage built slot. I think, what is there? There's some park ahead of us, which there's only 8 properties in that park, and 2 of them have been developed, but there's no spark being staked on that. So that's just kind of bullshit. And Alamo Square's in the number 1 spot. There's not many more properties that can be developed there, and there's very little spark being staked there as well. So with what we got going on with the UCC contract and, our spark trends, I think it's not going to be that long, and we're going to be in the number 1 spot in San Francisco, which is cool. And, consider all the downtime we had. What was it? Probably 3-4 months, Cheese, where we were building everywhere except UDU. So, so we're definitely got that steam train rolling now. Oh, and one thing to note there too is the UCC has had a new community manager come on board. In Pastor, is it? She's come on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. There's still a lot of stuff going on at UCC, and with all this additional spark out and about in the community, it's been cool to see a lot of people reach out, hey, what can I do with it and where can I put it to use? And a lot of people are pushing them towards the UCC. And it's cool to see a lot of those new names popping up on my Midtown Terrace properties, helping to get all that built out as well. So I don't think it's going to be too long before I have to reach out and start talking about a stage 2 build. So, and this will be of interest to you, Bok. Our good friend Alan Kober has come back on the scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of. He did
He's
reach.
okay.
Yes.
He's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a big concern that we had kind of internally going on. So it's good to see him back in the fold. He bought, I think it was 4 business area properties in MTU from me. He put deposits down on a couple of those. It was 3 or 4, and he also had 3 in the neighbourhood, the residential area. Sorry. I've been in communications with him over the last week, and it looks like he's going to hold on to those RA properties, and we're working to get those BA properties back to me, because he said he's not going to be able to focus on that, so he's happy to get those back into the team. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, good news.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that might mean I was surprised to see when we ran the MTU stats recently that I was over the 40% ownership. So I might be able to squeeze out a set or 2 in the RA somewhere if somebody else is wanting to fill out some more properties. And if I do, that'll be at the same 150K price, which I think is pretty generous given the current floor in the market. So.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to say that it's a giant pump and up, they can go and, whatever.
Make like a tree and leave.
Yes, exactly.
Or like make like a tree and get out of here.
Yeah.
Back to the future.
I might throw over to you, Cheese. Wine and cheese update.
Okay, so last person we had on was Octavius, and just like others we've had on, there was not enough time. He had so many interesting things to talk about. Like, we learned more about him personally. We learned about his Discord and what he offers there, how he's going to evolve, and just the different projects he's into that aren't even like out yet. They're just getting, created and whatnot. It's a very interesting watch. I would recommend it, even it's my show, it's our show, Ben and I, but I would still recommend it. It's one of the good ones, even though we're the worst show ever.
Yeah, that was kind of on me to kind of have to wrap that up quick. We barely touched on a whole bunch of stuff. I would have loved to speak to him for another hour or so, but
it was long though. Like, it's not your fault. Like we were on there with him for a while.
Yeah, but we kind of remember there was some confusion about time zones with the daylight saving, so we didn't get him in as early as we had hoped, and then I had to cut it short to go to work and that sort of stuff. So hopefully, get into the new year, and when he gets, some of those projects up and running, I'd definitely like to speak to him a bit further, because some of the stuff he's got going on is next level.
Oh yeah.
They're talking in, multiple hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Like, they got some stuff for $20,000, like $20,000 worth of ETH, and then like a couple weeks later it's $60,000 worth, and it's just like going up. It's crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and speaking of wine and cheese, we've got 3 more episodes to get through for season 1 this year. So same.
The one that we're recording tomorrow is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, well, we're going to take a break there as well over the New Year period. So maybe we can do some evil planning during the downtime as well for season 2. Oh, box fishing for spoilers. There's your spoiler.
That's a good spoiler.
There you go.
Good spoiler.
Look at box face. Perfect. Love it. Couple more things to touch on. Website website update. I have, continually, when I've got a bit of time, I keep adding to it, tweaking it. Thank you, Dub, who's done a whole bunch of work, putting some stuff together for that. I'll hopefully patch that in today. And I know Box gearing up to potentially have a look through as well. Yeah. Anything that you spot or you think that can be improved on, let me know. Bit of a smack on the wrist for everybody. You haven't had any portfolios come in, no photos, no details to patch you into the members. Come on, people. Get some info in there. Don't be shy.
How are we going to get you the documents again, or the photos, or whatever it is? Do we have the share?
DM it to me. If you just look at, if you just go to the website and click on team, you'll see my example. Just,
Well, last time, because I think it wouldn't let me, I have too much protection on my computer or something.
Oh, you couldn't view it, yeah.
Yeah, remember?
All right, I'll take a screenshot of my profile and post it in the chat, and then you'll get an example.
Perfect, thanks.
Just write that down 'cause I forget.
What are we talking about?
Team member portfolios within the website.
Okay.
At the moment, yours just says Morecheese.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I got to work on that.
So it doesn't have to be overly complex, just something there would be good to start fleshing that out a bit. And that's for everybody, UDUA members, everybody. I can just start piecemealing that in. It'd be a bit like Squid Game in reverse. We want to see the faces popping up, not disappearing. Yeah.
We got a Joe on, by the way.
Hey, Joe.
On the spot. Put you on the spot.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry, I'm in the middle.
Nice.
Good to see you guys.
That's perfect placement there with the wings either side of your head. That was
Yeah,
cool.
I like the background. That
Yeah.
was really cool.
I'm working on.
It's almost
Good
like
to see you guys.
my wings.
The money wings, yeah.
My money wings.
Over to Legits chat. Anybody want to talk about Legits?
I have no idea what they are, but I can't wait to sell them. For money. I don't want to swap you. Just want to sell you.
Do you have the phone block explorer, Morecheese?
I got it. Because my favorite color is green. Is the finger, right?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on it.
Oh, wait. Did I receive it?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Sometimes they send those ones out in batches.
Mm.
I know they've done
I'm
that
still waiting on
previously.
it because the whistle and the what's it called? I
I
don't know
didn't get
the
any of
rest.
them yet. I didn't get any of them.
Yeah, and they have opened up trading for, I think now you can trade block explorers, right? So
Yeah, true.
that's another thing to watch out. I've already had some offers come through for, I don't know, there's people trying to trade me some NFLPA legits for some of the Halloween legits ones I had. I got no idea. I'm just rejecting everything.
I'm not even looking at my messages. So
Yeah.
if you want to trade me out there, let me know. Because I'm not touching, I have people putting escrows of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not even looking at my messages anymore. I have about 96.
Yeah.
That's your
96
fault.
messages. Well, you better start grinding through those because that's going to slow down your treasure hunts, and your swaps and
flip.
stuff.
I'm scared. I'm scared to fat finger anything.
I always say, because I post my name now and the BTS legits or whatever, and I say, do not send an unsolicited offer. I will just decline it because I'm not wasting my time because I don't know anything about legits. So I don't want to get myself screwed because I really don't understand anything. So I bought my packs and I put myself in the new thing with the assets now, BSTS assets they get made today for the block explorers, and I'm getting offers for UpX, which is nice. I kind of don't want more legits. I want to start selling stuff for UpX, even if it's a little under the table, because I want to get rid of it.
Exactly. You want to build your dream team in football? Send me some freaking ETH, you bastard.
Yeah. I'm the same, Cody. If it doesn't come with the conversation, I just reject it. It's just not worth the drama. And I'm still getting I've actually seen an increase in the amount of offers got coming through for MTU properties. You know, fishing for 15,000 UpX offers. I'm like, yeah, no.
How many of y'all have emailed Upland? I actually emailed them today because I was looking through my because they had the block explorers for sale now. I'm looking to see which ones have I not gotten yet. So I just like sent them the email. I'm like, yo, like, can you like hurry this up? Because I've been waiting on my personal custom one for 4 months now to get it minted. So I said, this
4
is like
months?
kind of an issue. Like, can you get this fixed?
No.
Yeah, I know
Like-
some people have been waiting over 6 months. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and they had the celebration of 1,000 minted block explorers. I'm like, bruh, don't be celebrating that. You're just gonna set people off.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. One last thing to touch on.
Oh no, just sit there.
Hey, what was that?
Oh,
Your sound is still on, Joey.
You're just cutting in and out a bit there,
you
mate.
know what I mean?
Oh, you say that again because your bandwidth was low.
Oh, sorry. I was saying
Oh no.
you.
If you're walking, it might be a thing because I know I can't do that with my internet as well. You may have to like find a spot and talk because it keeps cutting out.
It's gone on. Yeah. All right. Hopefully you're following that up in chat. Yeah. One last thing for the team to touch on is thank you and congratulations to Steve, who I put up to step up to mod status, and he was instrumental, as was the entire management team, in kind of working through an issue that popped up through the week that I think we negotiated pretty successfully for everybody involved. Thank you to everybody in the team, not just Steve, who gave me a bit of a rap over the knuckles to get it sorted out. Yeah, it's probably, in hindsight, it was long overdue, but you know, we move on and off we go. Other than that, looking forward to the week ahead. There's going to be lots of stuff happening. And that's it. Anybody else have anything they want to get out? Get out?
Get out.
Nope. Wrap us up, Cheese. I love how you do it.
Bye.